ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Pokemon trainers and Pokemon fans everywhere. Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at Slowpoke Psyduck. This has been one of the most fun decks to play post-rotation. You one-hit KO, huge tag team Pokemon, and the target is to knock out a tag team, maybe two, and just get as many prize cards as you can, quicker than your opponent. And the main ability we're going to be using is Ditch and Splash. I'll explain that a little bit later, but let's dive into this. Alright, starting up with the Pokemon lineup, we have two Dragonites. I'll come back to those, but let's get to our core Pokemon here. Lapras. Lapras with the ability Mermaid's Call. Let's read it. Once during your turn, before your attack, you may put a Misty's Favor card from your discard pile into your hand. That is going to be key for us, because in this deck, with Slowpoke Psyduck-GX, the ability Ditch and Splash, discard any number of supporter cards from your hand. This attack does 40 damage for each card you discarded this way. So we want a handful of supporter cards. The more supporter cards you discard with this attack, the more damage you do, and there's no cap on it. So if you were to discard 20 cards from your hand, you would be doing a bonkers 800 damage, which is unneeded and over excessive, so we're not going to do that, but we're going to have enough supporter cards to kill most tag team Pokemon in one hit. Let's check this out. So we're running 3 of the Slowpoke Psyduck-GX. You can be running 4 if you want to. But I'm running 3 here. Let's take a look at his GX attack. Thrilling times GX. Flip a coin. If heads, this attack does 100 more damage. If this Pokemon has at least 6 extra water energy attached to it, in addition to this attack's cost, flip 10 coins instead, and this attack does 100 more damage for each heads. So that's another way you can guarantee a one-hit KO there, but I really don't think there's many situations where you're going to be getting 8 water energies on him. You can just stick with the standard 2 that you need for Ditch and Splash, and maybe charge up another Slowpoke Psyduck on the bench, so you have one if the other gets damaged. Okay, so that's this card right here. So we're going to be running 3 of him. We're going to be running 4 of the Mermaid's Call Lapras here. That's going to be our key card that's going to be sitting on the bench, grabbing us our Misty's Favor. So why is Misty's Favor so important? Let's take a look at this card. Misty's Favor, our key supporter card for this game. Search your deck for up to 3 supporter cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. So, you play Misty's Favor, you grab 3 supporter cards, Misty goes into the discard pile, and then you grab her back up with your Lapras' Mermaid Call. That's how it works. So you always have Misty that you discarded. You should have it every turn if you have at least 1 Lapras on the bench. So that's the combo between those 2 Pokemon and the Misty's Favor card. We're running 2 Dragonites in here. Now this is one version of this deck where it does run the Dragonite. I am working on another version without that. We'll put up a deck profile for that soon. But let's take a look at these Dragonites real quick. So we have one Dragonite here with the ability Fast Call. Once during your turn, before your attack, you may search your deck for a supporter call, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. So, this lets you draw random supporter cards, whatever you want, from the deck. I'm sorry, not random, but chosen supporter cards. So you can pick up any supporter card, and that can be useful when you have a deck full of supporter cards. So also, one more supporter card for you to discard with your Ditch and Splash. So 40 more extra damage there in case you're running 1 short. The other Dragonite is a Hurricane Charge Dragonite. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may attach a Water Energy, or a Lightning Energy, or one of each from your hand to your Pokemon in any way you like. Now this is a situation, both these Dragonites are situational, and you can only get them on the bench because you don't have any basics here, and nor do you have any rare candy, so you can only get them on your bench with this card, Lance Prism Star. You can only play this card if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Search your deck for up to 2 Dragon Pokemon and put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. So if you can get that combo off, it's some nice extra utility to have. It'll let you charge a Slowpoke Psyduck or a Psypoke in 1 turn with 1 water energy from the Hurricane Charge, and the other one from your hand if you have this one. And if you have the Fast Call Dragonite, an extra supporter in your hand every turn, especially if you have a bad hand, to try and draw Cynthia or a Lily is just great. So that's what we're looking at for that one. And let's look at the items here. We have 2 Cherish Balls because we have 3 Psyducks here, and we don't need more than 2 Cherish Balls most of the time, because you can either grab your Slowduck and then Pokécoms, or vice versa. And we're also running Fan Club in this deck, so that's going to help us draw out when we have that one turn where we don't need to attack. Preferably it's on our first turn, so we can just put it down, grab our 2 Laprases if we have a Psyduck, or grab a Lapras and a Psyduck if we don't have a Psyduck. So that's usually going to be your play. 2 Cherish Balls fine. You can run 3. You can run 4 if you're running 4 Slowpoke Psyducks, and then maybe run an extra Pokécoms to get what you want. But that is what we're using the Cherish Ball for. So, Pal Pad. Initially I was running 2 of these, but I realized you don't need it once you have enough Lapras on the field, so we're only running 1. Pal Pad lets you shuffle 2 supporter cards from your discard pile into your deck. So, straightforward enough. If you need 2 extra cards, it's an item. You can use unlimited number of items on your turn, so you grab 2 extra cards, you put them in your hand, and then you ditch them with Ditch and Splash for that smooth extra 80 damage. Okay, Pokemon Communication. So, straightforward enough. If you draw a Dragonite, you don't need it. If you draw a Lapras or a Psyduck and you need the other one, you Pokécoms, you get what you need, you're good there. Reset Stamp. So, we're looking at a lot of our opponents being able to draw a lot of cards in the current meta with their different types of setups. So, if you see your opponent getting too crazy, drawing 10, 13, 14, 15 cards, you reset stamp him, you get him back to a good old 5 or 6, or if you knocked out one of his tag team Pokemon 3, and then you just sit there and watch him weep. So, that's the plan with that. 1 reset stamp should be good. 2 switch. We're running 2 switch so we can grab and retreat for free without losing energies here in case we're in a tight spot. Lysandre Labs. Pokemon tool cards in play have no effect, so we're going to be running 1 of Lysandre Labs for the stadium cards. So we're done with the items there, moving on to the stadiums. This is just so your opponent is not harassing you with your escape board Jirachis. He's going to be forced to either play a stadium on top of this, or he's going to be forced to use a switch or an energy to retreat, so that really helps when you see escape board Jirachis everywhere. Also really good in any of the spell tag Malamar matchups. Just getting rid of those 40 damage spell tags, super good. Saves you a lot of grief when you're only running your Slowpoke as your main attacker in this deck. So he's going to do damage to your Slowpoke who's going to die earlier, much quicker than he needs to, so knock out those spell tags. We're only running one of the Lysandre Labs. We're also going to be running 2 Power Plant in here for those annoying Pokemon like Keldeos, for those annoying Pokemon, GX Pokemon that have abilities that shut us down. For Silvally GX, if your opponent's running one of those for those free retreats, you can cut him short right there with the 2 Power Plants. I am considering swapping maybe around to 2 Lysandres, 1 Power Plant, but I think I've used Power Plant in more matchups, so we're leaving that as it is for now. 1 Viridian Forest, just the 1, because usually that's enough. We're running a decent amount of energies in this deck, so we don't really get energy stalled. You can use the Viridian, or you can just hold on to it for a Stadium War, and hopefully you knock out one of his Shrine of Punishments, or one of his Giant Furnaces, or something that lets him draw cards or hurt you. So that's always good. 4 stadiums to win every Stadium War. So we are not going to lose here as long as you play those at a right time. Moving on. We have our supporters, a whole slew of supporters here, but mostly we're only going to be running some of these core ones, using some of these core ones a lot more than the others. So, Blues Tactics. At the end of this turn, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. This is super useful because we are running a deck that ditches and splashes our supporters into the discard pile. So, if you're getting rid of 7 cards or 8 cards this turn, you play a Blues, and you draw a fresh hand next turn with just as many cards. And that's just great, because your opponent's going to be like, oh, he can't attack if he burns the spell. Well, guess what? I have 8 cards again in my hand. Okay, so 2 of those should be good. Brock's Grit. This is a card in case of a worst case scenario here. We're running 2 of these guys. This is in case 2 of your Slowducks get prized and you have only 1, or 2 of your Lapras get prized and you have only 2. Worst case scenario, you can bring Pokemon back, put them in, and resume the Pokemon search. Hopefully, don't go dry. Worst case scenario, also, if multiple energies either get prized or multiple energies get discarded, and you need energies instantly in your deck for that refresh. Very versatile. We're running 2 of him. We probably won't even need 1, but if we do, we have him. Otherwise, we can discard him with a Ditch and Splash. No damage there. 2 Cynthias to refresh your hand. That should probably be 3. Might probably be 3. This deck is running 2 right now. I've been okay with it so far. If that turns into a problem, we will probably trade out 1 Brock's Grit for 1 Cynthia. But this should be okay. Cyrus. You can only play this card if your active Pokemon is, Cyrus Prism Star. You can only play this card if your active Pokemon is a Water or Steel Pokemon. Your opponent chooses 2 bench Pokemon and shuffles the others and all cards attached to them into their deck. This is great for, especially for things like Pikarom, where your opponent is setting up multiple Tag Team GX Pokemon with his Pikachu Zekrom Tag Team, charging up 3 energies at a time. He has a Zeraora on the bench, probably going to slap 1 Detonate on there early on, so you can deny him a whole bunch of Pokemon that are already set up, or you can just make his Pokemon disappear if you think you can end in 2 turns and he doesn't have any way to stop you. So yeah, so that's a really good card. Comes in handy about 50% of the time, I'd have to say. We'll have to see if he shows more use going forward. As I explained before, the Lance Prism Star in here as well. You can only play this card if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Search your deck for 2 basic Dragon Pokemon, put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. So if you draw a Dragonite, you're probably going to want to Pokécoms them back into the deck so we can play Lance Prism Star. Maybe sacrifice a Lapras, maybe get him back with Brock. I don't know. There's options there, but options are good, so we're going to leave that in there. Lieutenant Surge's Strategy. You can only play this card if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. During this turn, you can play 3 supporter cards, including this card. Super good for a deck full of supporter cards. Makes sense. I was running 2 of these in here, but I realized that Slowpoke is really quick to start knocking out your opponent's Pokemon. So, most of the time, and you know, usually in a game where you're going to end up winning, you are going to have more prize cards remaining. You're going to have less prize cards remaining than your opponent, so you're not going to get to use him so often, so we're just running the 1. We're running 2 Lusamines here. Lusamine is a great card in this deck. Put any 2 combination of Stadium and supporter cards in your hand from the discard pile to your hand. So if you're running shy a Stadium in a Stadium War, or if you're just running shy of supporters for our beautiful Ditch and Splash, Lusamine is your way to go. Misty's Favor, I already explained this card. There's 4 of them in there, obviously, because we need them. Pokemon Fan Club, we're running 2 basic Pokemon. All the Pokemon we need to have are basic Pokemon. So, we're going to be running those to get those extra Lapras or extra Psyduck onto the bench in the middle of those spare turns that you can't attack or something. But yeah, that's there for a first turn or a spare turn. It's always there. Worst case scenario, you get some extra Pokemon on there. You don't have to wait for just the Cherish Ball or Pokécoms combo. That's why there's 3 of them in there. We're safe. We're covered on that aspect. We are good. Moving forward, Steven's Resolve. I personally like this card. I don't know if any other decks are currently running this. I like to run this because I like to set up my Slowduck really, really quickly. This is great. I'm running 3 of them. This is a greedy play from my side, but it's paid off more than it hasn't. It's really good because you're running a deck full of supporters, and sometimes you just end up getting a handful of duds, things you can't play. And hopefully one of those duds is Steven. He will end your turn, so let's take a look at this. Search your deck for up to 3 cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Your turn ends. You can't attack if you play Steven as your supporter. But you can do everything else. You can attach your energies, you can retreat, you can play item cards, but as soon as you play this card and grab 3 cards from your deck, you are done with attacking. So keep that in mind. This, what I like to do, my strategy for employing Stevens is hopefully we get him in the hand on the first turn. We are usually going to end up with 1 water energy in our hand, sometimes 2, but if we get a water energy and a Slowduck, we slap them on there. We put the water energy on the first turn. We play Steven. We grab a Misty's. We grab a water energy. And something else, anything else that you need. If your opponent's benched a bunch of Pokemon, maybe a Cyrus. If you think you're going to lose a Slowduck because he has some heavy attackers, maybe a Lance to accelerate those Dragonites onto the bench. But versatile, multiple uses for the Stevens, especially on your first turn because you can't attack anyway. You lose nothing, you grab everything. Makes sense to me. Also, if you're getting stalled, you have an extra turn in between, great card to play. If you can't attack, there's some reason that maybe he has an Alolan Ninetales. I think the Fairy one is still legal in Standard, so you might have one of those sitting on the bench. You're in trouble, so you need turns to charge up your Lapras. You don't have water energies in your hand. Well, there you go. Play Steven, grab 3 water, take time to charge your Lapras, and then switch. So, many things you can do. Good card to have. If he starts backfiring on me, we'll consider changing, maybe only playing 2 Stevens. But we'll see. So far, it's been really good. Whitney. Draw a card, then draw 2 cards for each other Whitney in your discard pile. So, if you've seen the Slowduck video that I uploaded, the Whitney is one of the cards that saved the game for me. Whitney, what we do, we pick her up, or if we get her in our hand, we try to discard at least 2 Whitneys because we're running 4, and then we play the last 2 Whitneys to grab 5 cards and then 7 cards respectively, and most of those are going to be supporters or cards that can get you supporters back, or stadiums that can help you win Stadium Wars, and it's just great. It's great. You don't have to waste turns playing Whitneys, you can just free discard them with your Ditch and Splash, and it makes perfect sense to me. So 4 Whitneys in this deck. And of course, beautiful 14 water energies, because we don't want to get energy dry, we don't want to get energy stalled in case he has a non-GX Pokemon or a Pokemon that can stop our GX attackers. We want to charge Lapras. We never want to be in a situation where we're only running 10 energies, 2 of them get prized, and you have 8, and it's just going to be really hard for you to resource manage here, especially if you don't have Viridian, especially if you're not drawing energies. That's going to be a problem. So, 14 energies, safe and secure. We are going to draw energies almost every turn or every other turn. We are good. This is the deck profile for Slowduck with the Dragonites and Lance version. But, as I said, keep watching. We're going to upload another version. Hopefully, that one is a little more versatile. That's what I'm hoping for. Helps us win more matchups. The only scary matchups I've had with this deck are things that stall my GX Pokemon from attacking. So that's one thing, or anything that can do 250 damage or more in 1 turn. That is scary. We lose Slowduck instantly. That's a problem. I don't think I've had much issue with anything apart from that. But yep, that is the Slowduck build. Hope you guys like this video. Like and subscribe for more, and hopefully we'll get to do a few more different deck profiles with this guy. Definitely a fun deck to play. Definitely entertaining. Definitely fun to calculate and toss those cards and watch that waterfall damage come down onto the opponent. Alright, thanks guys. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night wherever you are. Have fun and enjoy playing Slowpoke Psyduck.